For nearly a century, the academic answer was the Grand Ramp, a massive straight incline of sand and rubble. But when modern engineers ran the simulation, the Grand Ramp fails miserably. To reach the 480-foot summit at a grade that wouldn't kill the workers, the ramp would need to be over a mile long. It would require more material than the pyramid itself. We've been trying to solve a high-tech problem with a brute force imagination. We've been picturing thousands of people pulling ropes until their backs break. But what if they weren't pulling at all? What if they were letting physics do the heavy lifting? To solve the mystery of the Great Pyramid, you first have to stop looking at it as a monument and start looking at it as a clock. Traditional Egyptology tells us the pyramid was built in roughly 20 years for the pharaoh Khufu. It contains 2.3 million stones. If you do the math, that timeline requires the workers to quarry, transport, and perfectly set one multi-ton block every 3 minutes, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for 2 decades. In 450 BCE, the Greek historian Herodotus visited Giza. He asked the locals how the stones were lifted. They told him the pyramid was built in tiers, or steps. They described machines made of short wooden logs used to heave the blocks from one tier to the next. For centuries, we dismissed this. Wooden machines sounded too simple. Even Leonardo da Vinci's sketches of these machines looked like complex, ratcheting cranes that, while genius, would be agonizingly slow in practice. But a machine doesn't have to be a combustion engine. It's just a way to redirect energy. And this brings us to a theory that redefines the plateau: the counterweight system. A researcher recently proposed a theory that focuses not on the wood of the machine, but on the biology of the builder. It looked at the Herodotus clue and realized the Egyptians had a renewable energy source we've been ignoring: themselves. In this model, the engine isn't 100 men pulling a rope with their arms, it's 40 men using their legs. Your quads and glutes are the most efficient muscle groups in nature. In Douglas's theory, a team of workers simply walks up a set of stairs on a finished level of the pyramid. They step onto a platform. One by one, their collective weight adds up. The moment their mass outweighs the stone on the other side of the lever, the stone rises. This is a walking job, not a straining job. It's rhythmic, it's repeatable, and most importantly, it fits the 3-minute requirement. By using human gravity as a battery, you turn a construction site into an assembly line. But a lift system only works if you have a place to stand. This is where French architect Jean-Pierre Houdin introduced a twist to the theory. He realized that as the pyramid gets higher, the workspace gets smaller. You can't fit thousands of people on a tiny summit. Houdin's internal ramp theory suggests the Egyptians built a hidden road inside the structure. This would allow them to finish the smooth limestone outer casing as they went up, while the heavy blocks moved through the core in the shade. This isn't just speculation. In 2015, the Scan Pyramids project used muon tomography, cosmic rays that can see through stone, to find a massive unexplained void inside the pyramid. It perfectly aligns with the idea of a hidden internal structure. But then we hit the climax: the impossible stones. In the heart of the king's chamber sit granite slabs, weighing 80 tons each. No lever system, no matter how many people step on it, can lift 80 tons of solid granite to the height of a 40-story building using just wood and rope. For years, this was the dead end of archaeology, until when geologist Eamon Gonim used radar satellite imagery to discover the Ahramat branch. The water was right there. And a radical new study by the Paleotechnic team suggests the Egyptians didn't just use that water for transport, they used it for hydraulics. This theory suggests the Great Pyramid was essentially a high-pressure stone volcano, but by using a check valve system and the natural presence of the river branch, the Egyptians could have literally floated the 80-ton slabs up a central shaft. The water pushes the float lifts the stone, and the engineers park the block at the summit. This explains why the grand gallery inside the pyramid is so tall and narrow. It wasn't a hallway, it was a pressure management system. But why is there no evidence left behind? No mile-long ramps, no giant machines? The reveal might be the most Egyptian trait of all: cannibalization. Recent models suggest the pyramid wasn't built to its final shape initially. Instead, they built a working mass, a series of sacrificial structures and temporary ramps that were actually part of the pyramid's own volume. When the construction was finished, they didn't tear down the ramps, they recycled them. They carved the working mass down into the finished geometry we see today, using the leftover stone to build the smaller secondary pyramids nearby. Nothing was wasted. The evidence didn't disappear, it was integrated. So which theory is right? Is it the living counterbalance, the internal spiral, the hydraulic volcano? The truth is likely a multimodal masterpiece. The lost Nile branch brought the stones to the gate, the hydraulics lifted the impossible weights, the internal ramp provided the logistics, and the human counterbalance provided the precision for the final 2.3 million blocks. The mystery of the pyramids has never been a lack of technology. It has been our lack of respect. For centuries, we assumed that because they didn't have electricity, they must have been primitive. We looked for miracles because we couldn't imagine a mind clever enough to move 80 tons with just water and logic. But these new tests proves that the miracle was actually just world-class management. They saw the river as a battery. They saw the human body as a calibrated engine. They aligned their teams with the laws of physics and built something that refused to be forgotten. The Great Pyramid stands today not as a mystery but as a challenge. It challenges us to rethink what a team can do when they stop fighting against gravity and start using it to touch the sky. The secret of Giza wasn't magic. It was the realization that if you understand the weight of a man and the pressure of a river, you can move mountains.